Alright guys, going to make a little video on recursive sequences and how we identify them and use them, and just a couple kind of intro things for them. We kind of saw an intro the other day, so we'll keep going with that. I did want to go back to what we did earlier in this chapter with those formulas, and they were really explicit formulas before. So I have two examples up here, A and B. And this would be an explicit formula over here for A, just where we have this variable n instead of like an an minus 1 like we've been seeing with recursive. So if we were trying to find the 8th term in an explicit sequence, we would just sub in, so we're looking for A8, which is the 8th term. We would put in 8 for n, and then actually evaluate this. So 3 times 8 is 24, minus 2 is 22. So that would be the 8th term. This is very different from how we do these in recursive sequences, which we'll see in a second. So for B, if we wanted the 8th term, we would put 8 in for our exponent and evaluate that. I don't have my calculator, so I'm not going to do 2 to the 8th, but we would multiply those. So that's for explicit sequences. For recursive rules or recursive sequences, we we're given the first terms in the sequence, and I'm going to fill this in. And, oh, that was a mess, I'm going to say. And we use the given terms to find the new terms. So you really have to go one by one in recursive sequences. And you guys can see I gave an example in the worksheet. I'm going to just grab a new page here. I can't scroll, it's just a picture for me. Alright, so now I have, oh, let me get a new page. Sorry, I don't usually type and do this at the same time. Alright, here we go. So I'm going to bring down the first example that I have on that worksheet, and we could take a look at this together. Okay, so over here, I kind of gave an example just walking through by hand. Now, I'll talk us through one given this sequence up top. So we know this is a recursive sequence because it has this A sub n minus 1. So that n minus 1 is a little subscript. That's all together. We're not actually subtracting 1 or anything going through. So I'm going to start. They gave us A1, and they usually need to give us at least one term for recursive sequences. All right, and then we're going to find A2 by subbing in. I'm going to write this formula one more time. 3 times an minus 1. Now I'm not going to do this every time, but n minus 1, an minus 1, we can really just think about this as the previous term. All right, so A1 is our previous term here, and I'm going to do 3 times A1. So 3 times 1 is 3. So this would be A2. All right, they want us to find the first 6 terms. So for A3, I'm not going to rewrite our formula every time. I have to do 3 times the previous term, which we found was 3. And 3 times 3 is 9. So that's great so far. All right, for 4, we're doing 3 times the previous term, which was 9, which here will be 27. And then we're going to go all the way through. For A5, I do 3 times 27, which is 81. And A6, 3 times 81, which is 243. All right. All right, so this is a pretty long video to start. I'm going to end this video here and create another video for the back of the worksheet or those couple other questions, and we'll be good to go. But there's your recursive sequence intro.